welcome to the Your Life Unfiltered podcast. In this podcast, we dig deep into the life experiences of our guests to connect the dots between their upbringing and what they're doing today. Today, we have a very special guest, Shivani Doshi. Shivani, if you want to quickly introduce yourself.
Yeah, hi. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Shivani, and I grew up in Connecticut, still living in Connecticut. I graduated from UConn, go Huskies, with a degree in biology, and now I've been working in dermatology for a little over a year, and I'm planning to attend PA school.
That's awesome. Shivani, great to have you on the show. If you could just go back a few years, your early childhood, early upbringing, and talk about a few things that, some early motivations, inspirations that kind of inspired you to do what you're doing today, and maybe connected with your undergrad program, or just what you're doing outside of study, etc. That'll be great.
Yeah, so when I was younger, I always kind of knew I wanted to do something in science and medicine. My aunt was a doctor, and so I always thought I would be a doctor, and then I realized that it was going to take like a million years, and I was like, I don't want to do this. And then I found out about the PA profession in college, and I actually started college as a psychology major, and then I realized I wanted to do PA, and so I switched over and I started studying biology. And yeah, that's kind of how I got to this point. And then in terms of like my whole like obsession with skincare, it kind of started with like me having really bad skin in middle school, and then from there I kind of got really interested in like how to take care of my skin and like the science behind it. And yeah, that's kind of how I got here.
Awesome. And just for our listeners, and even just for me, if you don't mind expanding, PAs, are you referring to the physician assistant school, or is that something else?
Yeah, physician assistant.
Got it.
So it sounds like you followed in the traditional brown footsteps of something related to the medicine field.
Yes, exactly.
How long does that take compared to the regular doctor degree, whatever?
So it's typically about a 3-year program. So it's a lot shorter. There's no residency, and you can hop from specialty to specialty without any training or residency. So it's kind of nice that way.
Got it.
Yeah.
Awesome. So I noticed that you are also a health influencer in addition to being a skin influencer. So I know there's like some recipes on your profile. Do you mind sharing like how did you get into all of that? I know we were talking about your veganism journey just a little while ago. Do you mind expanding on that a little bit?
Yeah, so I grew up vegetarian. My whole family's vegetarian, and my dad is vegan, and so he and my mom both turned vegan when they got married. And so growing up, like we always had vegan butter and vegan cream cheese, and like we had oat milk and soy milk around the house. And so I kind of grew up around that. And then when I started having really bad acne, that's actually when I went to the dermatologist, and she told me like milk can cause acne. And I was like, what? And that actually is when I stopped having some dairy, and then like my skin got better. And then I was kind of like, I kind of like the way this feels, and like my parents were already vegan, so I was like, this is kind of an easy switch. And so that happened like 12 years ago now, and ever since then, like I've been really interested in healthy eating and like the healthy like vegan lifestyle. And so that's sort of what prompted that.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So what is your milk alternative of choice? Because there's so many different options when it comes to vegan milk, right? I feel like everyone has their own preferences. Like, do you try all different kinds of milk in like different ways? So like, for example, I don't know, maybe it's like almond milk based cheese, but like use oat milk for coffee, or I don't know. But like, do you have like preferences for different types of usages of milk alternatives?
Honestly, once I commit to one, like that is what I use for everything, which I feel like is so weird. I feel like no one else does that, but for me, it used to be almond milk, but now I really love oat milk. Like oat milk, I think has become so big, and I think it's like, it has such a nice thick texture. I love oat milk. That's like my one and only.
Got it. I think one question that every vegan person gets is that, where do you get your protein from?
Oh my God. I hate this question because like protein comes from plants. Like this is my answer to everyone. Like protein comes from plants, but like, yeah, I mean, I guess like from veggies, but also like tofu and like seitan and chickpeas and all that stuff.
Got it. Is that your primary source, or are you also doing some supplements such as vegan protein powder, things like that?
I try not to. I try to just get it from real foods, but I definitely from time to time I'll have protein powder, but I don't like protein bars and stuff like that.
Oh
Got
yeah,
it.
so you're trying to avoid also the processed stuff, basically.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, of course. Oh yeah, no, I meant the protein, like the vegan protein powder, where you can just mix it in almond milk, for example, which is what I prefer for my protein shake.
Yeah.
And then you can just kind of try to substitute your needs for the
Yeah.
day. Got
Yeah.
it.
No, yeah, that's makes perfect sense. So I'm sure you get this question a lot too, but I think it's also a valid question, especially for people that may be aspiring to go into a vegan diet. But
Mm,
when it comes to a vegan diet, there are certain vitamins that it's a challenge to be able to obtain, right? So I believe two of them are like vitamin D, which is very common. Actually, it's a very common deficiency for a lot of people. But then the other
yeah.
one's vitamin B12.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do you have any suggestions? Oh, so Deepam just showed me a Deepam just showed me a container of I believe it was vitamin B12 capsules.
D3. No, it was D3
Oh,
actually.
D3.
Sorry, wait a sec. Let me just turn around. Can you see it now?
10,000 IU. Wow, that's a good dose. That's a
Wow.
pretty good
Yeah,
dose.
yeah,
Yeah.
just one tablet a day. Sorry, please continue.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I think like a lot of people, like even people who are not vegan or vegetarian, a lot of people are just deficient in both of those, and they're both so important for our health. Personally, I mean, I've taken supplements for both D and B12 separately before. I think like that shouldn't stop people from trying to become vegan. There's always, whether you're vegan or not, depending on what you eat and how your body absorbs stuff, you might not always you might be deficient in different vitamins. So I think some vegans, I guess we do have to take some more supplements maybe than the average person, but I think it's worth it.
And I 100% agree with that because I'm on a journey, so I'm not like completely vegan yet, but I have substituted all my milk with almond milk, which is I just said for protein shake, but also
Yeah.
for tea and coffee, I do oat milk. So I have like both of those lying around my house.
Yeah.
And I've still not been able to give up on yogurt and paneer. So those are the two things that I still. Cheese is fine. I don't care too much about cheese or butter as well. So yeah, so I 100% agree. I noticed drastic change in the energy levels that I used to have before consuming milk and afterwards when I gave up on milk. It's dramatically different, and I'm obviously more energetic, and the energy levels changed after I started taking supplements. So
Mhm.
D3 I just showed you. I ran out of B12, but I'm just gonna replace it really quickly. But both of these supplements really helped me kind of be the best of uh, version of what I can be. So
Yeah.
I totally agree, 100% agree with that.
that's awesome. But Deepam, you're actually also the exact opposite of me because I can give up any other dairy form. I cannot give up cheese. That's the only one I can't give up.
I was
I'm
gonna say,
exhausted.
I think cheese is like the hardest one. I feel like
Yeah.
cheese is so hard.
Yeah, for me,
Yeah,
for
cheese
me,
as
like
well.
I've actually tried it to like reduce dairy consumption, especially like milk is easy because there's so many milk alternatives.
Yeah.
Even yogurt is like okay, I can get it without yogurt, it's fine. But like cheese is tough because
Yeah.
most of the vegan cheeses out there, I just don't like the taste of. That's the thing.
I don't like them. I don't think there's not one that I like yet. Like and I miss cheese pizza. Like, ugh, I can't do it. So hard.
Yeah, yeah. It's also my favorite meal. I love pizza, so that's that. Like for me, I would if I was to like try it again, it'd be like never fully vegan because I can't give up cheese. I just love cheese too much. But everything else is fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do pizza like once a month, so I can take cheese during that. But I typically you're not eating pizza as it is, so yeah, I'm fine without that. So that's actually my salvation. You've been doing the skincare and healthcare influencing for even before the pandemic started, but I just wanted to get your perspective on how pandemic impacted your overall process, just for personally and what you kind of also started putting on your Instagram channel. Do you mind talking a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think during COVID, like
Mhm.
because I was home and I just had more time and I think like I was really able to sort of think about what I wanted to do with my social media. We were talking about this before, but for the OG followers, it was always about like yoga and food and like now you won't even find me talking about that much. Like I'm still passionate about it in my personal life, but I think what I share now on social media is more what like my true big passion is, which right now is like skincare and beauty. And so I think like COVID kind of helped me figure that out and give me some more time to really reflect on like what I want. So yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, I actually remember seeing a post of yours relatively recently about like sunscreen and like radiation and damage and all that. It's like, you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think, and it's so interesting because I think like, like in general, the brown community, like we tend to feel like we don't need sunscreen. Like I know my parents, like my mom grew up in India. I don't think she's worn sunscreen once, like until the last year, because like I think there's just this general idea that like, our skin's naturally darker. We have this natural protection. We don't need it. But like none of us are immune to sun damage. And so I think if, even if you're not into like the 12-step skincare routine, like I think the one thing that everyone needs is a good sunscreen, because even like passive sun exposure, like sitting at your desk when you're near a window or like in the car while you're driving, like you're still getting damage and it accumulates, and like you don't see it the next day, but you see it like 5 years from then or like 10 years from then. So yeah, sunscreen every day.
Yeah, I heard about this. Even when you're at home, you need to be using sunscreen to cover your skin. Do you have any preferred brand or SPF level that you recommend? You know, I know it really depends on where you are. If you're outside, you definitely need higher SPF. But let's say if you're at home,
Yeah, I
um,
mean, I think in general, like 30 or higher is good, and like you don't even need to get like a like SPF 70 or something. I think the real issue is like you have to reapply it, because after 2 hours, it's as if you're not wearing sunscreen. And so no matter what you're using, like SPF or SPF 50, like as long as you reapply it, it's good. In terms of brands, like I know it's hard to find one without a white cast. Like I think that's why my parents never wore sunscreen. It's because they put it on and it was like pasty and like it didn't blend well with their skin. But one that I found that's really good is, it's called the Elta MD UV Clear. I have like my whole family using that. It's like actually clear and like no white cast.
Sounds like you're the brand ambassador for that brand.
Ooh, I wish. Elta MD sponsor me.
I'm gonna make a note of this because the one that I like, I always struggle with this, right? I am going and trying to test a few samples, and none of them, um, and I'm not the best at it, so I'm just like always putting it off to next time. So I'm gonna take a note of that. Thanks for sharing it.
Yeah, so I think one day when we're having like sponsorship, we should do like product placement on like video podcasts. Right, so it's like just like how you put up like the vitamin D like bottle, is like we can just like randomly just in the background place one of the bottles of the product we're sponsoring.
Love that.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And just out of curiosity, are you getting sponsored by any brands? Since you've been kind of talking about it so much on your
No,
page.
I'm not. Yeah, so nothing right now. Like it's all really what I truly believe in. Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay.
So going back to the sunscreen thing, actually, I don't know too much about it, but I know like there's two kinds, right? There's like a chemical and like a physical barrier. Do you want to talk about like the difference?
Yeah, chemical sunscreens actually absorb into your skin. And so, in my opinion, I think like physical mineral sunscreens are better because they're physical blockers. So instead of absorbing into your skin, they're sitting on the surface of your skin and they're, deflecting like the sun's UV rays, whereas chemical ones are getting into your skin. And, I'm a little more holistic. Like I don't like chemicals and like putting things on my body that I don't need to. And so for that reason, I prefer the physical ones. The reason why people don't love physical ones is because they tend to be like the white, pasty, thick ones that don't
Got
blend.
it.
The one that I just mentioned, the Alta MD, it has one chemical ingredient, but it is like it's a mineral sunscreen. It has physical blockers. But yeah, that's the difference. If I had to pick, I would say everyone should be using a physical mineral sunscreen.
Okay, got it. No, I
Yeah.
guess that makes sense because like the chemical ones, if it's absorbed in your skin, it also disrupts like your what's it called, your endocrine system, right? I'm
Yeah.
guessing. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Got
Cool.
it. So going back to the point that we were talking about before, uh, as a guy, I was just curious on your perspective. Like, is skincare important for guys as well, or is it like mostly for? So I know a lot of guys are also getting into it. So what advice do you have, if any, for our male listeners here?
It's funny because a lot of people ask me like, do a men's skincare routine, but like it's the same, Like I think like skincare, like it's the same. It doesn't matter like if you're a male or female or whatever. I definitely think it's important. I think that you don't have to do like a complicated skincare routine. I think it can be super overwhelming, especially for guys who are like a little more low maintenance, or even girls who are a little more low maintenance. But I think like, yeah, skincare is definitely important. Like wash your face twice a day and like moisturize and like wear a good sunscreen. It's important.
Got it. Got it.
Oh.
I actually want to give a shout out to our second episode guest, which was Anvita, because what I'm about to say is something I remember from that episode. But I don't know if you, Shivani, if you had a chance to listen to that episode, but in that episode, she basically talked about mental health, right? And one of the things she said is that for people to ask the question of if mental health matters for people,
Mm-hmm.
her advice was if you have a brain, then you need to take care of your mental health, right? And I think what you're saying is the exact same thing. It's if you have skin, you should care for it.
Literally, yeah, exactly. If you have skin, take care of it. Exactly. Love that.
Got it. What's one advice that you would give to anyone who are trying to kind of start their skincare journey or just routine, just kind of just anything basic, right? That everybody should do.
I think like there's three things that everyone should do. I talk about
Mm-hmm.
this a lot, like on my social media, but one is sunscreen, which we just talked about. Two is
Mm-hmm.
a vitamin C serum. I think everyone should use it. It's like it's just so great for your skin. It's a really powerful antioxidant, and you can find them like at any drugstore. It doesn't have to be expensive. And then the third thing is a retinol. I think everyone should be using a retinol. It's great for acne, great for anti-aging. And like, if anything, I think everyone should be using those three things, and you'll have like the most amazing skin ever for your whole life.
What's retinol? I'm actually not familiar with it at all.
Retinol, it's a form of vitamin A that you put on at night. It's great for just improving your tone, your texture, your complexion. It helps with skin cell turnover. Um, I feel like it's kind of like Botox in a bottle. Like if you start using it, like you're in your 20s or 30s or whatever, I think if you use it consistently, it can be really effective. It's like one of the three pillars of anti-aging.
Got it. So everyone that wants to look young forever, you guys have to all follow Shivani's advice here.
Use your retinol.
And sunscreen. Can't forget the sunscreen every day.
Sunscreen, yes.
Oh, I have another advice is just lose a ton of weight. Like I did actually. I used to look older when I was younger. And I probably weigh like 20 pounds more. Now I lost a bunch of weight and I look younger than I used to. So
Yeah,
just a fun thing.
as you got older, you looked younger. That's like pretty interesting. You aged in reverse.
I know. I know.
So I wanted to switch gears for a minute. We talked a lot about skincare, but you said you were into yoga and meditation and a bunch of other stuff as well, right? Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, my mom has always been into yoga, and that's sort of how I got into it. I think for now I'm more into like the more spiritual aspect of it and meditation, rather than like the physical yoga practice. In terms of like fitness, I'm more into like the strength training and stuff right now, but I think like I love meditation. I think it's just so powerful. It's something I try to do every day just for like my mental health.
Okay. Have you like what are some personal benefits you've seen from meditation? If you'd like to share about that.
Yeah, I mean, I used to have like really bad panic attacks. Like I'm just like I feel like I'm always stressed, like, and I'm always on the go. And I think like during COVID, it was pretty bad. And I think like that's sort of when I really started to get serious about like doing meditation every day. And I feel like it has made such a difference, like just not looking at my phone and like waking up and like just sitting there and like meditating and like just breathing and trying to be in the moment. And I think like I have not felt that stress or like had panic attacks and stuff since then. Like I think it's just such a powerful practice. And it might feel like, oh, like what do? You just sit there, but like yeah, you sit there and like you breathe and like you focus on your breath, and it's like it's so much more powerful than it looks.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, mindfulness is definitely a game changer for anybody who's trying to get in. I mean, I started a couple of years ago, maybe more, I don't remember, but still learning. It's a learning process as well, right? It's very hard to keep focusing on your breath, and then you try to, when you lose attention, try to bring it back. It's just a process that's kind of ever evolving.
Yeah,
But
it's so hard. Like
Mhm.
I think like something that's really helped me is I don't even do like the YouTube videos or anything anymore. I just like sit there and I literally say to myself in my head, I know I'm breathing in and I know I'm breathing out. And like I just repeat that to myself over and over again and it helps so much because it like brings your attention back to like your breath and that's it. And like even when your like mind tries to wander, like you just come back to your breath because you're just telling yourself like I know that I'm breathing. So that's honestly that's like what I do. I don't even like listen to anything, and it works really well.
Oh wow. Okay. I've not heard that one before because like I've heard of people doing like guided meditation with like what is it or self-guided meditation with like what is it? I think it's called Headspace or like
Calm.
different.
Yeah,
Is that what it's called? Did you
I
say
think
Yeah, Headspace is one. The Calm is the other one. Those are
calm?
the big ones. Yeah.
Yeah, like I've heard of people doing that, but I've not heard of that. It's like almost like a mantra to yourself. It's like
yeah,
I am I am breathing in, I am breathing out. And
yeah.
I guess that helps you to have something to focus on, I guess.
Exactly. And I think even like when you're in a state of like panic, like if you tell yourself like, you know that you're breathing in, you know you're breathing out, like it just helps you immediately like calm down because like you know that you are here and like you are centered and like it helps. It's like so powerful. It sounds so stupid. It's like you're just telling yourself you're and but like it really works.
It does. Yeah, I agree.
Do you think there's like
Uh,
a preferred that you'd want to like meditate and do yoga? Is it like early in the mornings or is it like any time during the day, only in evenings? Like what's your thoughts on like in terms of the best time of day to do that? Or do you think it varies by person?
I mean, I think like, there's some people who really like it structured, like they'll wake up early and they'll like set aside time to do it or they'll do it right before bed. Like for me, I kind of just do that like even if I'm like on like the train coming back from work or something like I will just like sit there with my eyes open. I'll just like say that in my head like just to relax. I think like I sort of just find like the pockets of time to do it or like when I find myself becoming stressed, I sort of just like take a moment and even like for 1 or 2 minutes I'll sort of do that. Like I don't really sometimes I don't set aside time just because I feel like I don't really have the time or I'm just lazy and I just sort of try to find like time within the day to do it.
Okay. No, that's interesting. I think Deepam, you had a question there, right?
yeah, no, I was gonna switch gears a little bit or talk about something we were touching upon before. It's just, uh, the food or the kind of foods that you eat impacts, your mood and everything, your energy levels. But you're also into yoga and other stuff, just for strength training and etc. What's what's your cheat meal that you
Uh,
how do you keep yourself sane that way, food
dark
wise?
chocolate every day.
Or is it true or is it like are you
Yeah,
joking? Are you
no,
serious?
for real. I mean, like I love chocolate, and so I literally get like the Trader Joe's. It's literally called Pound Plus. It's called Pound Plus. It's a chocolate bar, and like it is so good. And they have it like there's one that comes plain, there's one that comes with almonds, and I get them both. And like every day I'll have a square of it, and it like keeps me sane. I look forward to it every day.
Nice. Nice.
That's a good one. That's
Yeah.
a good one. And since you mentioned Trader Joe's, I just wanted to kind of plug one of the vitamin B12 that I use. I think it's a vegan option that they have on the store. That's the vitamin B12 that I use. It's really one of the best that I've used so far. So wanted to plug that for our listeners here.
I love Trader Joe's. The best.
So
100% agree.
one question I wanted to ask is it seems like a lot of your interests are inspired by some stuff that your parents have done, right? So like falling into the path of veganism as well as yoga.
Hmm.
Are your parents also into skincare or is that something you developed on your own? And so like how was that journey of like
No,
creating your own
that
interests?
is something I'm trying to get them into. So now I'm very proud of this because my parents are very stubborn. And so I've gotten them both and my younger brother all on a skincare routine. And it's like hard because the three of them are so stubborn. But no, I think it's just something that like came out of like me having bad skin in middle school and being told to like, do all like the desi DIY stuff, like put lemon on your pimple or like do the haldi honey mask and it like didn't work and I was like I don't know what to do and so I kind of just like did my own research and figured it out but yeah I think that's where it came from.
Got it. Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
so you're almost like training to become more persuasive because you got to persuade stubborn people to
Exactly.
to convert over and get a skincare routine. But that's actually awesome because if you're able to convince stubborn people to see things from your perspective, I'm
Yeah.
sure that will help you in so many other areas of life actually once you develop that skill
Oh.
set and harness on that skill set.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Keaton, do you want to switch to the rapid fire?
Yeah, sure. Let's do it.
Okay, so Shivani, the next segment is rapid fire, as the name suggests. First thing that comes to your mind.
Okay.
Yeah, just some basic questions, nothing to be scared of.
Okay.
Let me know when you're ready.
Okay. I'm ready.
All right, so tea or coffee?
Ooh, tea.
Okay, with almond milk?
No, actually, I don't put milk in my tea. Is that weird?
Oh, no, no milk
Um,
at all. Okay, that's interesting.
No, I just like do it.
wow.
Yeah, like I've been on this thing where I'm not trying to have caffeine, so I've been like trying to have caffeine-free tea, and I just like I don't know. I should try it with milk though. I've never tried it with milk, if I'm being honest.
Really? Wow. Because I think the Indian style of tea making, like it needs to have milk, right? Otherwise, what's the
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Okay.
your choice now is, I know you talked about used to be almond milk, now you're oat milk. So like, what's your flavor today? Almond milk or oat milk for tea?
Oh.
For me, it's oat milk actually for tea. Yeah. Sorry. Took a second to
I'm
remember.
caffeine free. Team no coffee. Team no tea.
Next question: mountains or beaches?
Ooh, beaches.
Okay.
Yeah.
Morning person or night owl?
Night out.
I know we talked about this a little bit, but what's your favorite comfort food?
Ooh, that's so hard. Like khichdi, honestly.
Really? Wow.
Like I literally
Okay.
will come home from traveling and I'll be like, Mom, can you make me some khichdi? Like, I just love it.
Yeah, that's the it's funny, like, because I have the same food habit. So I during the pandemic, you have to like make food. You're working from home, so you have to like 3 meals a day. Like, what do you do? So I initially, I was just trying to get by, just trying to make whatever I can. But then after a few months, I just made a schedule of the khichdi's that I will make each day. So Monday will be yellow, then Tuesday will be black, Wednesday green, and so on and so forth. So I am with you on this. I 100% agree. It's
Yeah.
the basic and just it fills you up. It's healthy as well. So
Yeah, exactly.
what's your favorite virtue in others?
Honesty.
Okay. What's your biggest pet peeve?
Oh, snoring. I cannot stand snoring. Sorry. It bothers me so much. Like I can't sleep when someone else is snoring.
So is that like from personal experience? Like, does like your mom, dad, or brother snore, and like that's how
My
you know it's a pet peeve?
Yep, my dad snores. Like every time like we go on a family vacation, like we're in the hotel, like I can't sleep. Really bothers me.
Yeah, I figured it was from personal experience. I figured that one.
It's just a bit personal.
How else will you know? Anyway, okay. So what's your secret superpower
Ooh.
that people don't know about through your social media or other things?
Oh, I can make like roti that's actually round. Like
Okay.
I've actually mastered that and I'm very proud of it because it took me a really long time. Like they just came out like a square and like an ugly triangle and now they're really actually completely round.
Wow. Okay,
That is
that is
amazing.
good. So if
Okay.
anyone needs lessons on how to make round roti, Shivani is who you got to hit up.
What's a superpower you wish you had?
To be able to cook like real Indian food because I feel like I'm like 23 now and I don't know how to make any of my favorite Indian dishes and it's pretty bad. Like I need to learn how to do that because I can't just ask my mom to make it for me every time I need to learn how to do that.
That's a reasonable ask, in my opinion. Okay.
Is Indian food your favorite cuisine? I'm guessing.
Yeah, I love Indian food.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. So basically that brings us to the end of rapid fire. Shivani, thanks so much for all the fun answers.
Yeah, so I mean, going back into the line of questioning there. So I know you said you're in PA school now, right?
No.
But you had, or sorry, applying to PA school.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you had a psychology undergrad, right? have you seen like have you been able to like apply a lot of the stuff you learned in psychology to like what you're doing today, or like what triggered interest in psychology?
So I was a psych major for 2 years and then I switched over to biology. But in those first 2 years, I mean, I really liked it. I think I got a good insight into learning like just how people think and why people act and like um and then actually it's funny because after that during COVID I volunteered as a crisis counselor where you have to really they train you to really be able to like get into the minds of people and figure out like how they think and how to help them and like people who are like they're suicidal and they're in these like really like traumatizing and like chaotic situations. And I feel like what I learned in psychology in my undergrad plus that experience has really taught me like how to communicate with people and how to listen to people, and be there for people in times of like distress. So it's actually come in handy. Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, so it's like make them feel heard, basically, especially people that are in a situation where they may end up hurting themselves if
Yeah.
things don't go right way. It sounds like through all the knowledge you've accumulated through your 2 years of psychology undergrad, you've kind of picked up on some of the ways to make people feel heard. Is that like a fair statement?
Yeah, and like even like literally like people would call into the like national suicide hotline like about to kill themselves and they have a plan and everything and like our job isn't to find a solution because like they're a stranger, like we don't even know them, we don't know any details, but like literally what they like trained us to do is like you just like you probe, you like ask them questions and you're just there to like reiterate what they're telling you. So like you're really just showing them that you are listening and like most of the time that like it de-escalated the whole situation. Like it was really crazy to me. And like now like that's like the extreme case, but like now now back in normal life and family or friends, they're stressed out. Like if I just use that same tactic and I'm like and I listen to them and then I just like rephrase what they're telling me and I say it back to them, like that helps people so much. So how much really listening like can actually do.
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Insightful as well. I think it's very helpful to learn about that.
I
Yeah.
think if you're into that type of stuff, right? We are actually going to be interviewing with a good friend of mine who lived in the Bay that I connected with when I was in the Bay. His name is Parth Savla.
Mm-hmm.
And he's actually an NLP coach. So he does like a lot of what he does for a living is centered around exactly what you're describing. It's like digging deep and understanding like thought processes and all that kind of stuff. So when we release that episode, I think I'll send it your way. I think it's something you may enjoy listening to.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. Are you familiar with what NLP is by any chance?
Not really, no.
Okay. So it's like based off of like the subconscious mind. So
Mhm.
like NLP stands for neuro linguistic programming. So it's like using words and like associating them with different emotions and feeling, and then using that to tap into the subconscious mind. So it's like understanding people's like insecurities, their trauma, past experiences that could be preventing them from getting to the next level, and like using words like from almost like a scientific basis, like word choices and stuff like that, syntax and all that, in order to release some of that past trauma and bad experiences, etc. So it's a fascinating topic. I mean, I'm no expert at all. I'm just talking like very very high level, the basics of what I know. But I think
That
you, I think you'd really, based on what you're describing, I think you'd really enjoy that.
yeah, no, I'm excited for that episode. That's so interesting. Yeah.
Awesome. So I think we're coming to the end of our discussion, Shivani. Before we wrap, there are a couple of questions. So number one is, what's next for you?
So hopefully I'll be in PA school soon. And then hopefully a few years after that I'll be working in dermatology somewhere, maybe in New York or maybe West Coast, who knows.
Okay, sounds good. All the best, and we'll be cheering you from the side
Thank
as
you.
you kind of go to the school and graduate and join a hospital.
Are
Um,
you thinking more along the lines of joining an existing dermatology clinic, or are you thinking more like start your own? Just out of curiosity.
Probably join. I think it's really fun and cool to work with others. And also because right now PAs can't own their own clinics. I don't know if that's going to change because actually the PA physician assistant just got changed to physician associate. So I feel like the role is becoming a bit more independent. But yeah, I mean, maybe one day in the future I'll have my own dermatology clinic.
Yeah. Yeah, then you can also develop your own like dermatology brands or something. Can you imagine that? It's like not
Yeah,
only do
I
you
should.
exactly not only do you consult about it, but you also can sell a product.
Yes, love that.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. So last question before we wrap. So Shivani, do you have any recommendations for our listeners? And just for your reference, a recommendation could be a book or a podcast, TV series, movie, anything that you've watched recently or even some time ago that really stuck with you or inspired you in some way.
There's a documentary on Netflix. I think it's called Game Changers. Have you watched it? Yeah,
I have, yes.
I would recommend that. I loved that. I think it's not like one of the classic like, you know, go vegan and then they show like these videos of like animals getting beaten up. It's a little it's better and it's a little more unbiased in my opinion. I think it's educational and it's definitely I think it's one of the documentaries that's worth watching on Netflix. So yeah, Game Changers.
Yeah. So for context for our listeners that may not have heard about Game Changers, so Game Changers is a documentary that focuses on the vegan lifestyle, the benefits from like a scientific perspective, as well as stories about people. Like, for example, someone that won the World's Strongest Man competition, he's actually a bodybuilder that's completely vegan, completely plant-based.
Yeah.
So it's a fascinating story on the scientific benefits of switching over to veganism, as well as high performance athletes that are actually following the vegan diet. I do recall that there was also a story about I believe it was an Olympic ice skater or a figure skater or something along those lines that
Hmm.
switched from a omnivorous diet to a vegan diet, and then she talks about how previously she wasn't able to compete, and then once she switched over, she actually her performance increased dramatically, and she was able to compete with people much younger than her. So it's definitely an interesting documentary for those who are interested in checking it out.
Yeah.
100% agree.
With that said, Shivani, I did want to give you an opportunity to plug your socials. I know that for people that would love to learn more about either yoga meditation from your earlier post or your most recent pivot over to skincare, they would be, I'm sure they'd love to check out your content. Do you want to share your Instagram handle or any other social media platform with the audience here?
Sure. You can find me on TikTok. My username is Skin by Shiv.
Oh, so
Got it.
that's why when I said the product thing, you said Skin by Shiv.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
What about Instagram? Do you want to share Instagram as well?
Yeah, my Instagram, it's like kind of annoying. It's like my name, but elongated. So it's SHIVANNNIII. So, but if you just go to my TikTok, then you can press the little Instagram thing and you'll go to my Instagram. That might be easier.
Got it. Fantastic.
Okay.
Well, this was awesome. Thank you so much for joining. I know it was your first podcast, so hopefully it was a good experience.
Oh, it was great. Thank you guys so much for having me. It was so
Yep.
fun.
Yep. And so for those of you that are not already connected with our podcast page, please be sure to give us a follow at Your Life Unfiltered on Instagram. We would really also appreciate it if you can leave a review on the Spotify page. That would be absolutely appreciated. Thank you all for joining. This was fabulous, and have a great rest of your day. Have a great weekend.
Thank you, everyone.
All right. Take care.